Would you take financial advice from somebody wearing the ugliest pair of $800 shoes you've ever seen in your life? Justin Trudeau thinks you would. Normally, I don't care about politicians' fashion choices. I don't even care about my own fashion choices, unless, of course, it's Justin Trudeau wearing a costume to embarrass us on an international scale like he did in India or during his multiple periods of blackface. But the mainstream media, well, they really love to talk about politicians' fashion, but particularly shoes these days. In fact, the mainstream media dedicated an entire thought piece to former Transportation Minister Omar Al-Jabra's choice in sneakers. All the better to run away from skeptical media, I suppose, and those Trudeau bailout bucks, well, they're not going to earn themselves. Now, over the weekend here at Rebel News, we noticed something on Finance Minister and Deputy Prime Minister Chrystia Freeland's feet. Freeland has been known to kick off her heels and throw some sneakers on with her dresses, and who among us hasn't? I know I definitely have. My feet are not accustomed to heels. But while these things on Freeland's feet might look like your run-of-the-mill $50 to $60 Converse Chucks, only slightly uglier, they're actually closer to $800 retail Miu Miu designer sneakers. Now, you can these days buy those Miu Mius as an off-season, past-season product for closer to $200. But I'm willing to bet Freeland didn't get a bargain on these, and I'll tell you why right now. Because despite being our finance minister, she's not all that great with money. Freeland, before entering politics, wrote a book called Plutocrats, and it was equal parts fawning fangirl and class war skepticism about the world's richest people. But she's always desired, I think, to be in and around what they call the moneyed. That's why she became George Soros's biographer. But being in and around the money didn't mean that Freeland picked up on their acumen by osmosis. You see, when Freeland moved back to Toronto as a woman in her 40s, she needed her parents to co-sign her mortgage. Now, I'll concede, Toronto is a tough place to live in financially, for sure. But since Freeland had to get a co-signer for her own mortgage, wouldn't it have been great if she had done something or anything as finance minister to make life more affordable in this country? But her reckless, out-of-control spending has made it much, much worse. And before entering politics, Freeland was the head of something called Reuters Next, a division of Reuters news service that you'll never hear about because Freeland ignored all the good business advice being offered to her and destroyed that entire section of the company, forcing it to shutter altogether. Now, in politics, her advice to you, if you're struggling with inflation caused by her out-of-control spending, is to just cancel your Disney Plus subscription.
Canadian families are looking really closely at all of their expenses. I personally, as a mother and wife, look carefully at my credit card bill once a month. And last Sunday, I said to the kids, you're older now, you don't want to watch Disney anymore. Let's cut that Disney Plus subscription. So we cut it. It's only $13.99 a month that we're saving, but every little bit helps. And I think every mother in Canada is doing that right now. And I want to say to all of those mothers, I believe that I need to take exactly the same approach with the federal government's finances, because that's the money of Canadians. So yeah, I think we need to spend. We need to spend to support Canadians. We need to spend to invest in growth, like investing in the green transition. But you're right, we need to do it carefully.
And if you're still struggling after canceling your Disney Plus subscription, perhaps you should consider getting rid of your car and just taking the subway to work, regardless of where you live.
But you are facing a lot of pushback in this region, in particular from local politicians, local provincial governments that say this, they're not opposed to it, but it's coming too soon, too fast. They need more time to adapt. What do you say to that?
You know what? I say I do really understand. I really understand the challenges. A fact that still shocks my dad is I don't actually own a car because I live in downtown Toronto. I'm like, 300 meters from the nearest subway. I walk, I take the subway, I make my kids walk and ride their bikes and take the subway. It's actually healthier for our family. I can live that way. I can live that way.
I mean, let's just ignore the fact that the taxpayer pays for Freeland's executive transportation in and around Toronto, making it real easy to not own a car. She doesn't need a personal car because you're paying for her to get around in a luxury vehicle driven by a paid staffer. Ladies, can't you see? Our girl Freeland is just like us. Her feet get sore. So she's got to kick off them heels and then slip them into $800 designer shoes. I guess the only thing Freeland has going for her in those ugly shoes is that every time she wears those overpriced things with her dresses, the cost per wear goes down a little, and the rest of us are just supposed to shut up and take advice about how to quit being poor from her from inside her chauffeur-driven limo. For Rebel News, I'm Sheila Gunn-Reid. While Finance Minister and Deputy Prime Minister Chrystia Freeland is telling you to just take the subway to save a few bucks and fight climate change, you might actually be taking your life in your hands to use public transportation in this country in many of Canada's large cities, thanks to progressive and liberal policies, including the Liberals' own bail policies. To sign our petition, calling on all levels of government to do something about the social decay in our cities, please go to fixourcities.com.